Evening, everybody, and welcome to SAFRL Season 5, Round 6 for Tier 1 on a Monday night. Tonight, we're in Abu Dhabi at the Yas Marina circuit. 5.2 kilometer circuit. Most victories coming from Lewis Hamilton with, is that five? Four, five. No, actually, he's got 6 victories around here. I actually think it's 5. So we have the first action out on track with this very unique pit exit that we have on the calendar. We don't get another one like that. It goes under the circuit. Abu Dhabi, a track known for its traffic. When you're trying to get that final lap in, when you're trying to get that final push lap, traffic can be the determining factor. But for now, still a quiet racetrack, just the 4 cars out on track, everybody else choosing to remain in the pits for now. And as I say that, track becoming a little bit more populated, 3 cars coming out of the pit exit. Just get some info up on your screens. Don't think we'll see any surprises in the tyres column. And as expected, everybody out on a set of softs. Just over 15.5 minutes remaining, and remember, this is the one and only quali session. We just have this short quali session of a available 18 minutes. So drivers have 18 minutes if they get out on track immediately. If they hang around in the pits a little bit, it's even shorter than that. Everyone out on track now will be looking to just get that first lap time down, get that benchmark. Sometimes you go out on that second run, you push a little harder, you invalidate the lap. You need to have this one in your pocket so you don't start at the back of the field. Shakes as we say that, goes sideways into an Armco barrier, loses his front wing in the process. Right now with the Red Bull of Pampun, he's completing his outlap. He's going to start a fast lap. Ooh, and Shakes is getting out of shape. And that is a very broken front wing. It's Midas, one of the first drivers out on track. He'll be one of the first over the line to set a lap time. Where is his teammate? His teammate's about to go over the line and set the first lap time of the evening. It's a 1:22.2. Who will be the next car over the line? Here is his teammate, it's Midas. His logic so far, 1:22.2. Just 1 or 2 lap times trickling in, so we don't have a good measure to know what's quick and what's not. If you're in the comment section, if you're watching, let me know what's a possible pole position time around here. As you can see, Midas pulled out of that, dived into the pits. Either wasn't the lap he was looking for, or he invalidated it, one of the two. Don Rabico looking for his first lap time of the evening. Just goes around that final corner. Ooh, and that is not what he wanted. Not what he wanted. Commentator's curse strikes yet again, and Don Rabico, as he goes around the final corner to set his first timed lap of the evening, just loses it on the exit and finds himself looking at the pit wall. with what is a very broken car. Once the wheel comes off, you're done for. So Don Rabico will start at the back of the field. His teammate, on the other hand, Cheddar, 122.1, and who's been quick all season. Will he continue the trend this evening? F1 Logic. He's now returning to the pits. He was briefly on provisional pole. He's been beaten by a 10th now by Cheddar. Pampun, good enough for P3. Turns to the pits. Neil in P4 with a 23 flat exactly. 23,000. Ruan P5, Thiago P6, then we've got Buffelsfontein in P7. Still waiting for laps from the rest of the field. Just half of the field have set lap time so far. It's Midas is on an out lap. He obviously abandoned that first run. Now needs to get out there quickly. He's going to be a little bit out of sync with everybody else. Simps now over the line to take provisional pole position away from Cheddar. 122.0. And the lap time's up front, so close. 0.2 of a second cover your top three. Jacques is starting his fast lap. I think he may have also had a run earlier on that he abandoned. Don't think this is the first time he's coming out, unless he's been sitting in the pits for 7 minutes. The only Williams representative tonight, Django, P4. The Ferrari, the second Ferrari, Jacques, his teammate in P9 with a 24 flat. Jacques looking for his first lap time. There's Williams getting out of the way. Can still put you off as a driver, even if the driver gets sufficiently out of the way, even if he's off the track. Just that moment that he catches your eye. If it's at just the wrong moment, you miss a braking point, just that slight distraction. Go around the corner, see a yellow flag, don't know what's on the other side of it, and you just gotta hope. Jacques goes over the line, and it's good enough for P5, 122.6. Further down the field, Shakes, no lap time from him yet. He's going to go around the final corner and hopefully change that. Good enough for P7, 122.9. Times in the midfield, really close. It's Midas, still looking for that first lap time. We saw him abandon his first run. Teammate got a good run, 122.2, good enough for third place. Let's see what Midas can do. Goes over the line and slots in just behind his teammate. Goes P4 with a 122.4, 0.2 cover the Merc drivers. Buffelsfontein returning to the pits. Shakes will be returning to the pits, as will Jacques, as will Midas. So just going to have a little brief period here in qualifying with not too much action on the leaderboard. Brands has not set a lap time, and if I'm not mistaken, I might be mistaken, but I think he has a qualifying penalty for today, so he does not set a lap time, which means he'll start at the back of the field. Don Rabico may actually start just behind him because he DNF'd. It's Midas. He'll be disappointed with that first run, had to pull out of it. He'll be more than happy with that second run. 122.4. His teammates on an out lap as he's on an in lap. Logic starts a new fast lap. We'll ride on board with him. such a difficult track to really master. Seems like two very different race circuits. If you're in Sector 1 and if you're in Sector 3, I do love this addition they've made here by getting rid of that chicane, going to that hairpin with so much more speed now, and it's become a fantastic passing opportunity. DRS down the back straight, you'll see a lot of passes into this corner over here. Hopefully the driver will be ahead before the turn. Oh, and just gets out of shape. We got to see that live. Logic, he was having a good lap time up until that moment and then just got out of shape on the exit, backed out of the lap immediately. And he's going to have to save up DRS, have another go, or come in, change tyres and have another go, because the clock is ticking. 6.5 minutes remain in this session, and then we're going racing. Seems like as soon as I zoom in on a driver, they back off. Driver who's not backing off, Neil, 23 flat. Wasn't a bad lap time earlier on, but since then many lap times have been set and he's been demoted down to 9th. Cheddar improves, but only just. Look at the gap between first and second. Gap between first and second, if you'd like to know, is 0.003 of a second. We're going to need another decimal. If F1 ever became that close that we needed a 4th decimal, well, that could be fun. So Cheddar, provisional pole, 122 flat. Simps, I think he would have thought he had that in the bag. 122 0.97. Cheddar goes 122 0.94, 0.003 of a second. So Simps is going to have to emerge from the pits and have another go if he intends to start from pole. Can be a messy turn 1. Gotta really know what is your plan going into turn 1 before you arrive there. Things can go so wrong. Just find yourself in the wrong part of the racetrack and cause an accident with everybody else behind you. It can be a messy turn 1. The 15 cars on the grid. Should be an interesting turn 1. Cheddar returning to the pits. Where is his main competitor? He's sitting in the pits. No movement from Simps for the time being. Sure, when he does come out, he's going to give it everything he's got. Midas, this is his 3rd and final run of the evening. His best lap time of 122.4, just 0.4 off pole position, but it's only good enough for 5th place, because that's how close the top 5 are. In fact, the top 9 covered by 9/10. 1/10 per position. Midas looking to improve. Logic sits in the pits, Simps in the pits, Cheddar in the pits, Bumpun in the pits. That is your top 4. 3.5 minutes still remain, so all of those drivers can get out, can have another run. Will they be thinking of saving a set of softs for the race? Is it necessary? I don't know. I haven't practiced for Abu Dhabi. In fact, until moments before the race, I thought we were racing in Mexico. So, different continent, other side of the world. And yeah, no, I really thought it was Mexico. I've got to start looking at the calendar more often. But for now, Jacques, 22.4. So many lap times close together. Look, it's Midas, Django, Jacques, and Neil are all sharing a 122.4. 4 positions within a couple of hundreds. Quiet racetrack at the moment. Hope everybody doesn't go out at exactly the same time, leaving it as late as possible, and then we have a traffic scenario where everybody's final lap gets taken away by traffic. And sometimes there's not much that car in front of you can do. Sometimes he's on a lap of his own. Sometimes you've just caught him in a terrible spot. Cheddar emerges from the pits. Simps emerges from the pits. Logic emerges from the pits, as does Pampun. So those top 4 that I said were all sitting in the pits, they're all out on track. Things should get interesting shortly. This is Cheddar, fastest man on the track so far, 122.094. But that pole position, just 0.003 of a second, so no safety in that lap. He's going to have to go back out, Cheddar, and try and gain as much of an advantage as he can, because Simps is also looking for just that little extra, and all he needs is 4 thousandths. Everyone in the top 6 on an outlap. Jacques is done for this session. He's not going to be able to get back out. Best scenario for him is starting in P7. His teammate is out on track. That's Buffelsfontein. He's on a fast lap, so is Shakes, as is Ruan, currently P12. Simps has just started his final run, final fast lap, 122.0, and we'll ride on board with him, and he is purple in sector 1. So here we have Simps, remember, 122.097, just needs 4 thousandths of a second to take pole. But Cheddar is also out on track and he's just behind him. Checkered flag has fallen, so the drivers out on track will be able to complete this lap. He's gone fastest in sector 2. Purple in sector 1, purple in sector 2. And I think Cheddar's backed out of this lap. Cheddar has backed out of the lap, and now it is in Simps' hands. He went fastest in sector 1. He went fastest in sector 2. And if he can just hold things together in sector 3, there's no reason why he shouldn't go purple. And there we go. Simps over the line, purple, P1. This is Tiago, P12. Last of the timed laps. Looking to get further up the field. Who's still out on track? We have Logic still out on track. He's going to go over the line any moment now. Is he able to improve? And yes, he is. He left it late, but he goes up into P2. Cheddar over the line. That's his session done. Everybody with a checkered flag. That's their session done. Neil goes over the line. He isn't able to improve right at the end there. Drivers left on track. We've got Tiago. We have Ruan. Tiago's gone over the line. It's good enough for P9. Now Ruan, last man over the line, and the screen cuts away. And he was not able to improve. There we go. There is your official results for qualifying. Here in round 6. We have obviously Simps fastest with a fantastic time at the end, just 0.04 of a second. Logic improved right at the end, left it late, P2. Then Cheddar, P3. Django, P4. Pampun, P5. We have Midas in P6. Jacques, P7. Neil, P8. Tiago, P9. And Shakes making up your top 10. On the other side of the top 10, P11, we've got Ruan, Buffelsfontein, P12, and then Brands, Don Rabico, and Welsh not setting lap times. There we go, welcome back. It is now time for the race. It's just going to have the smallest of breaks. Guys are choosing their setups, choosing their tyres, choosing their fuel loads, deciding what they're going to do exactly in this race. Matsumi has just joined, and just in time. I wonder if he's going to be able to get into a car in time. Hopefully we'll see him on the grid and we'll be up to 16 drivers rather than 15. He will obviously start at the back. And still we cannot see the grid. Seems like everyone is very deeply into their strategy adjustments. There we go, there's the red lights. And when they're all gone, we will be underway. McLaren leads the way from Mercedes-Benz. Simpson to turn 1 in the lead. Logic P2, Cheddar P3. Top 3 remaining the same. It's Midas. He's up into P5. Pampun. He's lost a position down into P6. Thiago on the move. He's made up 3 positions at the start. Driver on the move in the Aston Martin. We have a driver falling down the field quickly, and that shakes. Didn't see what happened there. Natsumi just missing out. Not getting in time. If he had got in a minute earlier, we would have still seen him in this race. Obviously wasn't able to select a car. At the front, Simps leads the way. Logic P2, Cheddar P3, Django P4. Those top 4 drivers have remained in their position. It's Midas. He's made up a position. He's up into P5 at the cost of Pampun, who's lost one. And then so far, Thiago, he's made up 2 positions. He's up into P7 and ahead of his teammate. Then we have the 2 Ferraris of Jacques and Buffelsfontein in P9 and P10. And we have a virtual safety car on lap 1 of 29. Obviously this track is known for its safety cars. So we have our first virtual safety car of the evening. I don't expect it to be our last. Luckily for all the drivers out on track, this virtual safety car won't have too much of an effect on the race. Very early on. Race just neutralized for the time being. We do have a car in the pits. It's Brands. He started from the back of the field. And now he's got to deal with that. It wasn't the quickest pit stop either. Wonder if he had a penalty or damage. There we go. Simps picks up a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car, and we've seen that one too many times in this season. Just at the end of virtual safety cars, drivers picking up penalties. This time it was just Simps, nobody else in the field. Sometimes we have seen 3 or 4 cars picking up that penalty simultaneously. Simps got a 1.3 second gap over Logic, but he'll have that drive-through hanging over his head. And surely that can't be a great feeling. I think you've got 3 laps to do that drive-through. And with the field so close together, when he does do that drive-through, he's just gonna hear engine after engine roaring past him while he takes a stroll down the pit lane. So when does he do it? Does he do it the first lap? Does he wait till the end? For the time being, he is building his lead. 1.6 seconds now over Logic. Cheddar still in P3, applying the pressure on the Mercedes. Go down to P4 and you'll find the first, or rather the only, Williams, Django, and then the second Mercedes of its Midas. Remember, it's lap 3 of 29. That means we do have DRS. And as close as some of these drivers are, I think DRS is going to give us quite a switch up in the positions. Remember, your leader has a drive-through penalty that needs to be served. Is that an Alpine at the back going awfully slowly? It's Brands. It's 25 seconds adrift from the rest of the field. That's as a result of a late pit stop at the end of a virtual safety car. But we've seen so many times this season, safety car comes out and guy right at the back of the field can come right back into this. Now Don Rabico becomes the first retirement of the evening, and he triggers the first safety car of the evening. Welcome to Tian, welcome to the stream, welcome to Monday night, Tier 1. Now, we were just saying Brands had that very lengthy gap to the rest of the field. It was 25 seconds. What this safety car is going to do, it's going to bring him back at least to the back of that field. Then he's going to have the opportunity to make some passes and get himself back up into the points where he wants to be. And remember, this may be the first safety car of many. Safety cars mess up the strategies. When you plan for a one-stop strategy, when you plan for a two-stop strategy, you're not always thinking about the safety car. You're thinking, I'm going to stop on this lap, then I'm going to stop on this lap, and it's going to take me to the end. And then a safety car comes out and just muddles everything up. Now Simps goes for that drive-through. And there we go, we actually get a good camera angle of that just to see how frustrating it is. 4 cars flying by on the straight while Simps crawls down the pit lane. And then, just to make matters worse, such a long pit exit. Now, I've actually missed that, but I don't think you can do that. I missed that. My apologies. I missed that. But Simps went into the pits. Now, was that... I believe that was after the safety car was triggered. So Simps went into the pits after the safety car was triggered, which means the team pit him. You cannot do a drive-through penalty under safety car. So the team would have pit that car. Let me just see if I can confirm that. Is he on brand new tires? He is on a brand new set of hard tires, so that's what happened. He went into the pits under safety car, which is something you cannot do, which means the team would have activated a normal pit stop. So he's now on a brand new set of hards, and he still has a drive-through hanging over his head. Remember, he didn't do that drive-through on the first lap. Don't think he did it on the second, so when the race does get going, he's just got 1 lap to serve that penalty. Safety car neutralizing this race, bringing the field back together. We're having a look at the tyre column. Just Simps really. He dived in and made that stop. That was an unfortunate stop, but I don't think that was part of his plan. I wonder if he dived into the pits and the safety car was activated while he was in that pit entry. Maybe it just slipped his mind. I know that rule. For one reason, I got a DSQ while driving. It's Midas in P4. Getting some love in the comment section. Sophia sends her love to Team Midas. Team Midas. It's Midas and F1 Logic. Those two are the teammates driving for Mercedes-Benz tonight. They are in P2 and P4. It would be a good result. Get both teammates in the top 10 making up some points. Safety car will be in this lap. And Simps is going to have to surely dive into the pits almost immediately, and that's going to take him to the back of the field. Now in anticipation we await a restart behind a safety car in Abu Dhabi. This is giving me some 2021 memories. Maybe they're good memories, maybe they're bad memories. Depends on who you support. Safety car in, we wait for Cheddar and he launches now. Left it a bit later than I would have expected. Logic stays right with him on the gearbox, so Cheddar wasn't able to get the jump there on Logic. Logic stays right with him, and we have a caution. We have a caution in sector 1. I thought for a second we had another safety car, but everybody seems to be underway. Don't know what that caution is about. Simps has now left the session. That may have been what that yellow flag was about. Cheddar leads from Logic. So close here between the top 4. We don't want to see contact. We don't want to see anyone going into the pits. Some more supports in the comment section, this time for Cheddar. Team controller. Well, if this man's on a controller, that just makes me feel bad. And to everyone else who has spent thousands of rands on setups, this guy's on a controller. Goodness me. Cheddar leads the way. Pumpun. He's now up into P3. It's followed by Shakes. Then we have a Ferrari. It's Midas. He's lost a few positions. He's down into P6. Not the best restart. Not the restart he would have wanted. But it's still such a long way to go. 20 laps after this one. And so much can still happen till the end of the race. But for now, Cheddar leads the way. But for how much longer? Logic right on the gearbox of that AlphaTauri. Oh, how he wishes he had DRS. No DRS for now. We had a recent safety car. And look at your leaders. First, second, covered by a tenth of a second. Cheddar leads the way. Logic attacks and he's just waiting. He's waiting for that message. He wants DRS to become active. The moment DRS becomes active, I think that Mercedes has the legs. Pampun doing what he can, hold on to the two ahead of him. The two ahead of him are on a set of medium tyres, and crucially he's on a set of hards, which means he can go later on into this race. And I can't speak fast enough for all the action that's happening out on track. I'm not a horse race commentator, but Shakes has become the latest retirement, and we're under safety car once again. Pampun took that opportunity to pit. He got rid of that set of hards, went on to a set of mediums. First and second place did not decide to pit. They've stayed out there on those aging mediums. And I think what's going to be interesting as this race goes on is really just how lucky you are and where you are on track when these safety cars come out. We're probably going to get another one before the end of the race. We've had two, as well as a virtual. Can be a really difficult track to set the car up for. And so many times the guys are looking for ultimate lap. Set the car up for an ultimate lap. And what you're left with is quite a twitchy car in the race. It may be fast, but it's twitchy. And sometimes it's just so easy to make a little mistake. Sometimes sacrificing a little bit on one lap pace for consistent race laps is your best option, but you also don't want to start too far down the field, so you got to find just the right balance. The leaders first and second place into the pits. Let's get rid of 9 lap old mediums. That means we have a new leader, and it's Neil. Neil will take the lead of this race. Where is Ruan? Ruan's also in the pits. The leaders are on their way out, but remember, it's quite a lengthy pit exit. Got to make your way around this exit and make sure you don't hit any walls on the way out. Otherwise, you're going to visit the pits on the very next lap. We're under safety car, lap 10 of 29, and looking at the tyres, everybody in the field, with the exception of P1 and P2, made a pit stop and have fresh tyres on that car. Your leader, 6 lap old hards, and then Welsh on 9 lap old hards. I think he's the only driver in the field not to have made a pit stop. Oh, that's right. Your leader is the only driver not to have made a pit stop. No penalties to speak of yet on your screen. We had that drive-through earlier on for Sims, but he got DSQ'd, and I think that was as a result of him not doing the drive-through. Remember, he had 3 laps to do it, spent 2 laps before the safety car, and then at the restart got disqualified immediately. I think what he needed to do was actually follow the safety car in on that lap. Your leader in a bit of an interesting situation. He's got the oldest tyres on the track. He's in the lead, but for how long will he be able to hold that pack behind him? He's going to have a bunch of angry cars behind him on much fresher tyres, and they're not going to have the patience to wait behind that McLaren. They want to get on with their race. Welsh P1, Neil P2, Cheddar, then we have the 2 Mercedes. And with Welsh and Neil still needing to make that pit stop, your provisional podium at the moment is Cheddar, Logic, Midas. Don't know how much longer Welsh is going to be able to hold on to that lead at the restart. And how long into the race does he want to take those hards? Maybe just wants to do a one stop. Take those tyres up until lap 17, lap 18. Jump on a set of mediums, finish the race. Depending how the soft tyre is around this circuit, which I haven't done any testing of this circuit, so I don't know. But depending on how quickly that soft tyre drops off, might just be able to extend that into a hard soft. I think a hard medium is more likely though. Safety car will be in this lap. So now all focus on the McLaren. The number 7 McLaren, Welsh. He is your leader, and as soon as that safety car touches the pit entry, he becomes the safety car for the next few hundred meters. And he controls when this race gets going yet again. He's actually got a bit of a move on. Hasn't packed that field up. He's got a bit of a move on. He's got a 1.2 second lead as he pulls off. Doesn't get fantastic traction out of the corner, and that allows everybody to come back at him. Neil, 0.2 of a second is the gap. Remember, Cheddar, Logic, Midas, P3, P4, P5, those drivers on fresher tyres than your two leaders. Neil has a slight advantage of 3-lap fresher rubber. He gets by on the inside. Goes up into the lead. McLaren down into P2. Trying not to get swamped. And even without the assistance of DRS, I think Cheddar's made that move, and he has. Nice, clean move. Cheddar up into P2. Logic up into P3. Second Williams, second Mercedes rather, gets past Welsh. Welsh really falling down the order now. Just being swamped from every direction. Neil leads the way from Cheddar. Cheddar will want to get by. He knows his tyres are fresher. He knows he's got more grip, and this is the time to get by and make the most out of these tyres. If you're planning on going to the end, or if you're planning on having another pit stop, you need to build this lead up as much as possible, and it's not going to help you being stuck behind the Aston Martin. And I don't think he's going to be there for much longer, because he's going side by side with the Aston Martin now. Will he defend? Aston Martin has the inside. He does go defensive, but he can't get the car stopped. That means the AlphaTauri comes out, and before the straight even begins, Cheddar takes the lead briefly, but now falls down the order because of the power of the slipstream. Cheddar down to P3. Neil retakes the lead, and now Logic up into P2. Positions are changing faster than I can talk. Back at the front. Neil is still leading the way. And as I say that, he's not leading the way anymore. Logic. That's also... Logic takes the lead. Neil P2, but Cheddar right on the back of him because he's lost momentum during that pass. I think he also lost a bit of momentum. That just allowed the AlphaTauri to get right on the back of his rear wing, and it's allowed Logic actually just to get a bit of a buffer, if you can call it that. Just 0.8 of a second that can be quickly cancelled out in a DRS zone. You want to get that gap up to over a second. One Mercedes leads, the other Mercedes is in P4. Midas. Cheddar goes up into P2. And now Neil begins to fall down the order. Welsh has made a pit stop, so those hards were not working for him. Cheddar now back where he wants to be. He's in P2. He's got past Neil. Now what he needs to do is get past Logic, 0.3 of a second, cover the leaders. And if he's got this sort of pace and DRS, surely there's not much Logic can do. It's really about who has managed their battery. Do you have battery to defend? It's really the only thing you can do if you're the car in front and everybody else behind you has DRS, especially on that back straight. So difficult to keep them there. It's Midas now on the back of Neil. You mentioned earlier Neil was starting to fall back. When Welsh fell back, he had 11 laps on the hard tyre. Now, Midas is on those 11 laps. And Midas, nicely done, and the Red Bull takes advantage as well. So now Neil loses not only one position, but he loses two. Mercedes-Benz and Red Bull getting past him in one corner. Your top performing Red Bull car so far is an AlphaTauri. Further down the field to the guys who haven't got too much coverage. Ruan, he's in P7. His next target will be the man that's falling down the order. That's Neil. Ruan looking for P6. Buffelsfontein, first of the two Ferraris, P8. Being chased down by Django, P9. It's Midas picks up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That will be for track limits. Obviously you get the first two warnings, and on that third one it's a 3-second time penalty, and if you keep on doing it you're going to rack up the 3-second time penalties, and those can really hurt you at the end of the race. As for those penalties, each of the Mercedes have now picked one up. Midas picked one up first, and Logic said, let me match you. 3 seconds apiece now for both Mercedes, and that changes things a lot. The moment you've got that penalty next to your name, it's not just about getting past the car you see on track. Now you have to think to yourself, whatever that timing screen says, add 3 seconds to it. So it's not good enough to just get by in the final corner. You need to get by and build a 3-second gap if you want to maintain the win of the race. Just adds that extra little bit of pressure. Pressure you really don't need. Cheddar P2. Logic is your leader, but he's got that penalty and he's not very far in front at all. Cheddar's gonna get DRS. Goes to the inside. The Mercedes thought about defending and then just thought better of it. Cheddar retakes the lead of this race. Midas now actually getting awfully close to his teammate. Wonder if we'll see any sort of position swap. We won't for now, because Logic retakes the lead of the race. And the power of DRS on this circuit, so difficult to defend. You need to get by and immediately build up a gap. If you get by and you don't get the momentum to build up a gap, you're just going to get repassed in the very next DRS zone. Brands in P5, remember he had a very difficult start to the race, had to start at the back of the field as a result of a qualifying penalty or a quali ban. Then he had that early stop, put him right at the back of the field, and now he's up into P5, and that just shows you how up and down your race can go, what safety cars can do to the strategies everyone had planned out. Sometimes the drivers sit and practice lap after lap the perfect setup, the perfect strategy. They go into the race, you get a safety car on lap 10, and you can throw that strategy out the window. F1 cars don't have windows, you can throw it out the cockpit. Two Mercedes running so close together they could almost get in each other's way. Let's hope we don't see any repeat of Mercedes actions lately. Few incidents come to mind. Ooh, and that Mercedes just getting out of shape. I think that's going to allow... Logic is still in front. It's Midas still P3. Cheddar still leads the way. Now these two Mercedes, they've got to play an intelligent game here. P2 and P3, both of them, they have 3-second time penalties. Your leader, Cheddar, has no penalties next to his name. These two Mercedes can't get too embroiled in a battle, because that might just allow the AlphaTauri to get away, to get up the road. Got to play this smart, keep the pressure on the AlphaTauri, and at the same time do not interfere with each other's race. Keep it clean. It's Midas, just no battery on that back straight. His teammate retakes the lead. Midas goes into P2. Will he be able to hold P2? I don't think he's going to be able to, and Cheddar gets him back. And now he's actually lost a bit of momentum as Midas. That's allowed Pampun right onto the back of that car. Top 4 in this race, still very close together with just 10 laps to go. I think anyone here in the top 4 can still potentially win this race. Pampun and Cheddar, they have the advantage of having no penalties. If things were to end this very moment, your podium would be Cheddar P1, Pampun P2, followed by Logic and Midas. Penalties can really come back to hurt you at the end of the race. Logic has built up a gap of 7/10, but it's just not enough. The moment you get back to this straight, driver behind you opens up DRS. At the start of that straight, the gap was 7/10. At the end of the straight, the gap is 3/10. And now you've got another DRS zone coming not far away. Cheddar with DRS yet again. Certain now that Logic's ERS battery is absolutely crying out. Must be giving it everything he can now to defend everything he has left. Cheddar still seems relatively comfortable on the battery. Not so much for the two Mercedes. They are both defending. Logic defending from Cheddar for P1. Midas defending from Pampun for P3. And we have two Mercedes powered cars fighting two Red Bull powertrain cars. One of the most iconic brands in motorsport taking on an energy drink. It is an impressive story, that an energy drink. Starting a Formula One team and beating some of the world's best known manufacturers. It's Midas still P3, Logic his teammate up in P1, Cheddar the sandwich between the two. He could even be quite comfortable to stay where he is. If he were to stay where he is, he would win the race. Doesn't need to take any unnecessary risks. He can just stay close to that Mercedes, keep on applying the pressure. If a mistake does come, be close enough to capitalize. If a mistake doesn't come, you can simply drive behind that Mercedes to victory. Make sure you don't get any track limits penalties of your own. Same can be said for Pampun. If he's able to keep that penalties column clear, that fourth place could translate to a podium. Just needs to keep it together, keep the consistency, and keep that car pointing in a straight line. Don't make any mistakes late on, and that's when you do make mistakes, when these tires start getting a little bit slippery. Started at 8 o'clock, or just after 8 o'clock rather. It's almost 9:30. Guys have been either behind the wheel or behind their controller for quite some time. Tires are starting to get slippery, and this is when mistakes can creep in. So important to focus in these closing laps. Don't think we'll have a focus problem from anyone in the top four. Further back, P5, not in contention for the win as those four ahead of him. He's dropped back from the field, 5 seconds adrift. He's followed by Brands, who's having one heck of a race. We have a DNF, we have a caution, and we hold our breath. Do we have a safety car? I haven't gotten confirmation on our screens, but Brands has made a pit stop, but I think that's just because his mediums are pretty old. Looks like just a sector 1 caution. But I saw a caution and somebody dive into the pits immediately, and safety car did go through my mind, and what a safety car it would be at this stage. Bring this field all together with just a few laps to go. Anyone with a penalty is going to have a serious problem. Two Mercedes, again, 3-second penalties. And the other penalty goes to Ruan. That is a 5-second penalty, so that must be speeding in the pit lane. Two Mercedes now lead the way. Cheddar P3, but he'll know about those penalties. And he'll know if he can just stay on the gearbox of these cars, he's going to win. Let these two fight it out. Hopefully they get into a battle of their own, and he can just retake this lead. Doesn't need to take any risks at this stage. If these gaps were to remain the same, then the real battle for the lead is this one here. Cheddar versus Pampun. Unless these two Mercedes-Benz are able to open a significant gap, and we've seen from the DRS sections around this track, so difficult to open a meaningful gap if you don't have far superior pace. Even if that guy behind you is 2, 3, 4 even tenths a second slower than you a lap, and he can cancel it out in the DRS section, you really need to find a big advantage to be able to break DRS. Circuit with 3 DRS zones. Not usually thought of as one of the longer racetracks, but it is in the 5 kilometer range, so one of the longer tracks on the calendar. The lap time seems so short because a lot of that is done at top speed on very long straights. Cheddar still P3, but that is a net P1 as things stand. Pampun P4, but that is a net P2. Ruan too far behind to take advantage of those penalties, so as things stand it would be Cheddar, Pampun, Midas, Logic. Brands, fastest lap of the race. There is Brands, fastest man on the track, fastest lap of the night, but he's got a brand new set of softs. And look at this, look at this, look at this, there's action. It's Midas leads the race. Cheddar making a nuisance of himself, gets past Logic. Now Pampun gets past Logic. That's how easy it is. Sometimes you're defending from one driver so hard. Just outbrake yourself, get yourself into a situation where you don't get the best momentum out of the corner, and you know the next thing that happens, you've lost one position, you lose another, you look in your mirrors and people are about to swamp you. Logic has maintained, he has got back one of those positions. He passed Pampun. The order is it's Midas, Cheddar, Logic and Pampun, your top four. But your net finishing order would be Cheddar, Pampun, Midas, Logic. Ruan in P5 having a comfortable little race of his own. 5 seconds to the car ahead, 4 seconds to the car behind. So he'll just be looking to bring it home and not do anything too dramatic. Brands gets past Django, so makes up a position, goes up into P8. He's done 3 stops this evening. And if you think that's a lot, it's not the most of the night. Most pit stops of the evening goes to the second Ferrari, Jacques. He has made 5 stops. These 4 here, they're getting most of the coverage, but that's because your top 4 are in a DRS train. Two of those top 4 have no penalties. The other 2 have 3-second penalties. And we might just get a Red Bull 1-2 with a difference. AlphaTauri ahead of Red Bull. Remember though that when Red Bull entered the sport, they were in the sport for 2 years before they bought the ailing Minardi team and renamed them Toro Rosso. And in fact Red Bull's first victory came thanks to a Toro Rosso. Toro Rosso won a race before Red Bull did. I'm sure you know who that was. Sebastian Vettel. At a very wet Monza. So that means that Sebastian Vettel has won an Italian Grand Prix in Monza. He just never did it for Ferrari. I mean, won an Italian Grand Prix in Monza for an Italian team. Just that Italian team was not Ferrari. It was Toro Rosso, now known as AlphaTauri. And next year known as, who knows? Could be Hugo Boss, could be Adidas. Those are the 2 biggest names in play. But the only thing that is confirmed, whatever the name will be, it will be in the Red Bull logo colors. And we're going to get an AlphaTauri that is incredibly similar, in fact, almost identical to this year's Red Bull. Basically getting an RB19 as at AlphaTauri next season. Just 2 laps remain. Midas leads from Cheddar. These top 4 keep on switching positions, but I think these penalties are going to have the final say. See, it's a busy stream tonight. Quite a few people watching. I wonder if some of those people are the drivers that have retired from this race. So those of you who are watching, hit a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. We're approaching that 100 subscribers mark. We're actually just 2 away. So if you haven't subscribed, click that subscribe button. It's the SAFRL. We run tier 1 on a Monday night. That's what we're doing right now. We do this all again on a Wednesday. Same calendar, same tracks, different set of drivers. So we will be back in Abu Dhabi on Wednesday night to do this all again. Now Neil has left the session. I also got a message that Tiago has left the session. Now I've got Ruan has left the session. And I wonder if we're having an issue with the lobby. Don't see anyone ghosting up front, so no problems up front. But we just saw 3 cars leave the lobby. It is 9:30, so I wonder if that has anything to do with load shedding. If anybody just past their little time limit, probably thought they'd make it, but the 2 safety cars just lengthening this race enough. 3 cars leaving so close together. Gotta imagine somebody's load shedding started at 9:30. But enough about Eskom and their lack of power. And back to lap 29 of 29. Cheddar leads the way. And not only is he the leader on track, he is the official leader because he doesn't have any penalties next to his name. The 2 Mercedes do. And they haven't been able to do enough to get rid of Pampun. So I think Pampun is going to be able to get 2nd place. Just don't do any weaving over the start-finish line. You can't afford to waste any time, and it's good enough. There we go. Cheddar wins the race from Pampun. Midas P3, Logic P4. Buffelsfontein goes over the line in P5. We have Neil go over the line in P6. I'm not sure what the regulations say if you go over the line as a ghost car. Really all depends on the rules of the specific league. I think many leagues will say that if it's 90% of the race, you'll keep your results, but I'm not sure on that. And that's it, folks. Season 5, round 6, Abu Dhabi. I know that the video says Mexico, but I'll fix that later. There's your official results. Cheddar started the race in P3, got himself the victory, 25 points. Pampun P2, he'll be happy with that result. Then we've got Midas P3, Logic P4, Buffelsfontein P5, then Neil in P6, Franz P7, what a drive he had, started in P13. Then Django P8, Ruan P9, and Tiago Maestro also ghosting at the end there. He got P10. Outside the top 10, well, we just have Jacques. Jacques finished in P11. And of course, Welsh, Shakes, Simps, and Don Rabico have a DNF next to their name. Just the 11 drivers finishing this evening. If you were in the comment section, or if you were just listening, if you were watching, or if you were listening in the background, or if you're going to watch this later on in the week, whatever the case may be, I hope you enjoyed it. We will be back next week, Monday, with Tier 1. And of course, we'll be back even before that on Wednesday night to do Yas Marina all over again with a different field of drivers. See you then, folks. Cheers.